very similar drugs. And from the perspective of the brain, they're nearly identical. These molecules bind exactly the same, it's called a receptor, exactly the same thing in the brain. One just replaces the other, and do exactly the same thing in the brain. The only difference is how long they hang around for. That's part of the pharmacokinetics. How long they hang along, that's the only difference. I don't understand any rationale for switching between midazolam and lorazepam in a patient who you're having trouble having them fall asleep. Because they're binding the same place. The therapy that was used doesn't suggest any understanding of these drugs. Additionally, they're being given along with propofol. Now that's common. We commonly combine a drug like midazolam with propofol in anesthesia. But we do it in ways that we understand. We don't willy-nilly, let's give a little more lorazepam, let's give a little more midazolam, let's try some oral Valium, let's do this. The polypharmacy in this case suggests that it was done without any real understanding of the drugs that were being used, how they worked, and how they interacted.
And was that, in and of itself, another serious violation of the standard of care?
Yes, that was a serious violation.
Now, assuming, again, from Conrad Murray's own words, that the midazolam, lorazepam was given, and then just the 25 milligrams of propofol was given, would you consider that a safe dose of propofol in this setting as you've described?
Not at all.
Please elaborate.
In this setting, there are so many variables that make it impossible to predict the response to a dose of propofol that there is no safe dose. Midazolam has been given and lorazepam has been given. It would take me a couple days to try to figure out, with the models that I have, what the effect of that would be. It's not clear. I could calculate it, but it would take time. Then you have a patient who may be withdrawing from benzodiazepines, from Valium-like drugs. After all, this patient's been getting them every night for 80 days and may have withdrawal from them, or may have tolerance to them. We don't know. Could the patient have tolerance to propofol? It's not well documented because nobody does this. But we do know that to all the other drugs that act at that location, it's called the GABA receptor, all the other drugs that act there are associated with dependence and symptoms of withdrawal. So maybe the patient is dependent on it. Maybe the patient may have withdrawal from it. We are in pharmacological never-never land here, something that's only been done to Michael Jackson and to no one else in history, to the best of my knowledge. So any dose of propofol is a potentially dangerous dose.
Dr. Shafer, I want to question you about a experimental research paper from China regarding propofol and insomnia. And I want to get your perspective as an editor of an anesthesia journal. Do you know to which article I'm referring?
Yes, I have it with me.
And that is the article entitled Propofol-Induced Sleep Efficacy and Safety in Patients with Refractory Chronic Primary Insomnia, and published after Michael Jackson's death in November 25th, 2010, online?
Yes.
As an editor of one of the leading anesthesia journals publications, let me ask you, did you evaluate this research paper?
Yes.
Independent or as a result of your work on this case?
As a result of my work on this case.
And at the time that Conrad Murray was giving Michael Jackson propofol every night for a period of months, was there any literature that set the precedence that propofol was appropriate for the treatment of insomnia in this type of setting, or in any setting?
There was no such literature, and I can support that with numbers if you like.
You actually investigated and did research to see if there are any publications that have been subject to peer review?
Yes.
And you found none?
There are. The direct answer to your question is no, I found none.
What are the specific numbers that you found?
There are, this is actually just recent, but there are over 13,000 papers in the medical literature about propofol. There are over 2,500 papers in the medical literature about propofol sedation. This is found using something from the National Library of Medicine that every doctor and every researcher knows, called PubMed. 2,500 articles about propofol and sedation. If you ask for articles on propofol and insomnia, you get one article. That's it, just one article, and it's the article that I'm holding. There's only one paper, and it's this one, in the entire world's medical literature on propofol and insomnia.
And in your opinion, was the treatment, alleged treatment of insomnia by use of propofol, an independent, egregious violation of the standard of care?
Absolutely.
And as far as this actual publication, can you describe, are you familiar with the basic purported research or experiment that was put forth in that publication?
Yes.